You know what time it is. Derek Rose knows what time it is. It's Sloppy Seconds time on
Sloppy
Beer and a Shot. Sloppy Foth. You know he's anchorman in that Bulls starting lineup. Beer and a Shot with the Butcher. Here with the Knicks Talk Trio. Most educated Knicks Talk Trio in the land. My starting backcourt. B-side and JC. Back at you.
Hey. Is Derek Rose the only player in the center that don't play center?
Oh, I think you want a cracker. Speaking of crackers, we're just three crackers talking about our favorite team, the Knicks. I think cracker and ginger are both acceptable on the radio.
I think it's racist.
You think cracker's racist?
Well, no, because we're white, so we get to say it, but it's still racist.
Yeah, there's a lot of debate on where the cracker thing comes from.
Ooh, when I think about where it may have came from, I might not be comfortable
Maybe
using
we
it
shouldn't
anymore.
get into this.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's not get into this.
Not comfortable with the cracker. I'm realizing it's a bad word.
White people should be more insulted by it than we are. That's what
Yeah,
it comes down to.
fair enough.
Yes. Well,
Yeah,
I think there's some looking in the mirror that most of our white brother and sisters need to do, and we're not going to get too political here, but
We're not going to trump it up or anything.
yeah, white people, just because you're 80% of your neighborhood, don't make you right. Is all I'm
And
saying.
don't forget, white people, Jesus was not born in England.
Yeah, Jesus was not born in England. So anyway, let's talk about Ports Jesus. Didn't exactly.
There you go. There's your
Didn't
nickname.
exactly break his slump today, but I love what I see from him. It's gonna be a lot easier breaking a Porzingis slump than it is breaking a Melo slump because he don't shoot out of him.
I
It
think
just works.
He clearly broke his slump tonight. You guys, maybe you didn't see the last play of the game where at the three-point line he had one final block against Karl Anthony Towns where he put it right in his face at the buzzer, which preceded a big hug from two of those guys and a nice conversation.
My man had 7 blocks tonight. My man.
Yes.
My man.
Swatzingis, Chris Swats, Blocksingis.
What does he play
Again,
for?
New York Knicks, the only
Or
team that
Blockers?
matters. Oh, the Knickerblockers.
There you go.
The Knickerblockers. Back to nicknames. Let's talk about this roster, guys. No one got heavier into this roster or deeper into this roster than we did in preseason. We saw it was unbalanced, but I think unbalanced in a way that's a good problem. A lot of bigs didn't know where they were going to all play. Derek Williams, every time he plays the 4, makes it even tougher to get guys in, and that's fine. I think, the trade season has started. The guys you signed in the offseason can officially be traded. So you're starting to hear a lot of rumors. Obviously, the Knicks being thin at guard to the front of the rumor mill. A couple things out there, a couple things I'd be interested in. JC, what are you hearing, or or do you have a suggestion, or should I tell you about what I'm hearing and get your
tell us about
reaction?
what you're hearing.
I haven't heard much in terms of trade rumors. Honestly, it's been pretty quiet in terms of the Knicks. I have a dream and a couple of dreams that maybe would look more realistic.
Well, let's get back to your dream, and let me pitch something that's probably much more realistic. The Detroit Pistons, which since getting rid of Monroe, have really had a renaissance. They've keyed in on Drummond and what a dominant player he is. Unbalanced, much like the Knicks roster, they're rolling with 4 point guards. I didn't say guards. 4 point guards and very few power forwards, where I see a Knicks team with 8 bigs and no guards. The guy that you have to think Detroit's looking to trade, they're getting him back on the court this week. Jennings, not known to be the greatest team player, not known to be the guy you want, but it's been brought up that he'll be on the trading block. We certainly have the bigs to offer Detroit. I've got a couple feelings on this Jennings trade. I know you have a lot of feelings on Jennings. I'm going to let you tell me what you think of Jennings, and I want you to tell me what you think and no assumptions.
Well, this is what I think of Jennings. How many Mellows can we fit on this team?
Well, we only got one right now.
We don't need a scoring point guard. He's not gonna. Nobody ever needs a scoring point guard. By the way,
Off the bench?
the Spurs, though.
that kid's gonna
Tony
play
Parker?
off the bench.
Well, that kid
Alright,
will play off the bench on this team.
You can't call Parker a scoring point guard. This guy
He
passes
scores
the
and he's a point guard.
But he passes the basketball.
But he scores first.
Guys, come on. Let's not put Tony Parker in the same fucking arena as Jennings here. Let's not be fucking stupid.
Has there been a point guard in the recent history that's similar to Tony Parker? I mean, the guy gets to the hoop so
guy's-
quick. Jennings can get to the hoop.
Let's
He's
look
a quick
at
guy.
Jennings as a guard, okay? Let's look at him as a guard because there's plenty of guys you can handle on this team. Looking at Jennings as a guard, does he give us a matchup advantage and a scoring threat, a secondary one that we might not have?
Are we talking about the same Phil Jackson team here? How does this guy fit into
No way
the triangle?
Phil picks him up. No way.
How does this guy fit into the triangle? He doesn't.
He doesn't, but the
Let me
one thing
ask
we
you
have a
this.
big need
Go
for,
ahead.
though, is we don't have a guy. Like you said, we have a lot of guys who can handle. They can handle slowly around the perimeter. We don't have a lot of guys that can dribble fast, break down the defense.
Grant's our only guard who
get to
can
the basket.
penetrate, but they don't have to respect that because he can't shoot from the outside. Jennings
Right.
does both.
Well, let's not forget that Grant is too young to assess his game yet. This kid doesn't have any time to develop.
I'm not looking to trade Grant,
No,
even
I know
though
you're
he's not playing
I
for
know you're
Jennings.
not.
We're
So let
talking
me
about
ask you.
a Calderon
Let me
replacement.
ask you. So let me form the question this way. Now that I've kind of pushed you guys up to the edge of the ramp here, if you're looking at Jennings or Calderon, I mean, is Jennings worse? Is he going to give you better production than Calderon?
Again.
Can we have one guy who works outside the framework on a team that seems like they have a pretty unified direction? I feel like they could keep him under
Jennings
control.
does not play defense.
No.
He needs a ball in his hands all of the time. This is not a triangle player, period.
Well, let me ask you this. At the same basic salary as Calderon, but with only 1 year remaining rather than 2,
No.
There's one guy in the league that has a very similar contract to Calderon that I was substituted before. And I don't know that it does a big difference for either one, but it's actually possibly feasible. And that would be with the Indiana Pacers. It would be, guys, who on the Pacers? The guard?
Hill?
Thank you. Grant Hill, exactly. George Hill would be a nice even swap because he's not killing it over there, but
I don't
he would
think
be-
talent-wise, I mean, you got to remember, listen, I mean, if we have our druthers, I know how we feel about this. But what I'm looking at is Brandon Jennings, even if he doesn't make the floor, gives us $8 million in cap space if we get rid of Calderon for him. We suffered through him for 1 year as opposed to suffering through Calderon for 2. Now, we're going to need to trade smalls for bigs with Detroit. Detroit needs bigs, we need smalls. I think it's clear that O'Quinn, Williams, and Seraphin aren't all going to make it on the floor. I do like having the surplus. However, if I could trade Williams, who will be in the last year of his contract last year, with Calderon, get them to take Calderon off my cap for next year, bring in Jennings, who will slide off the cap, and maybe a 6'6" rookie point guard also on that Detroit roster.
I don't trade Williams. I don't do it. I have the coaches give him the help this kid fucking deserves. This kid was sitting in the stands with Phil during Summer League. He's dying to learn, and none of these 20 coaches want to spend the extra time.
So what I'm smelling from you, Scotty, is you'd rather see what kind of guards we can bring in with our 2 open roster spots rather than trading any of our surplus of bigs for a feasible guard.
Here's what I think. Jose's got one year left after this year. He's
Olé!
a tradable contract this summer. Grant is still coming up. I don't move this kid. I don't move this kid.
I'm not. I did not propose we move Grant.
Yeah, I know.
But if you
Can
can
I-
get Jennings in instead of Calderon and have that contract slide off this summer, why wouldn't you do it?
I'm going to piggyback with Scott for a second and back him up with B-side here. Is that I like what
And
both of you
Jennings
are
is the
saying.
wrong kind of player.
I agree with you with the right move and the idea. I just don't think it's this year. I don't think that we give up one of our bigs, which could be are still going to be a good asset next year.
Yeah.
Getting rid of a Seraphin or O'Quinn or even Williams for somebody like Jennings.
Williams-
If you could trade Seraphin and Calderon, which is an even swap salary wise for somebody on the Memphis Grizzlies.
Well,
Now,
Conley's
that's
a
something
free
they can
agent
do.
next year, and that's the guy I want more than any. But let's get back to
You
this
could get Conley
trade
in a
scenario.
trade for Calderon and Seraphin. It's an even match. The salaries work.
And let's not forget what
Oh,
Williams.
yeah, it works.
Let's
Salaries
not forget
work.
what Williams provides: a quick big that scores. And that's we're lacking offense.
That's
and our
absolutely.
second unit moves quick.
I agree. You don't think Jennings would be looked at as a substitute for Williams' offense and probably more consistent offense on a night-to-night basis?
If I'm getting rid of one of the bigs, it would be Seraphin or O'Quinn because they're
They're slowing it down.
They're similar guys.
I like
look
them
at,
both.
All right, I agree.
but
I tend to
they're
agree with
slowing
you,
down
by
the
the
second
way.
unit.
Williams gives us something that neither a Seraphin or a Quinn
Right.
gives us,
Yeah.
which is athleticism at the 4 position. Now, let me ask you this.
Or the 3, which is what we'd like to see. him
he's
play.
I love to see him
interchangeable,
coming-
which is big for the triangle.
I agree, and I agree, and I agree. I would hope Derek Williams makes himself untradeable over the next couple of weeks. But what I'd like
The
to
coaches
add,
have to give him the help.
let me ask you something, though. Let's say Derek Williams blossoms over the next couple of weeks, and he becomes somebody that we absolutely need and we depend on. He is in the last year of his contract next year.
A big contract.
So he's
We got him
one
at a
more year
bargain.
still.
He's only got one more after
He's only
this.
got one more. Big up to Phil. He may have overpaid the guy, but at least the contract term is short.
Do we sell while the value on this guy's up?
It's not up. We got a whole pat. The coaches have to help this kid. He
The value
wants
is
to
up.
learn.
The value is up from what it was before, but no, I
No,
think
not at the $5 million a year. It's not up.
Well-
we overpaid him.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
think, Scotty, I
true.
think your sense of what salaries are big and what are small are a little out of whack. We've
don't
come
think
up
it
against
is.
this before
I
where
don't
you don't
think
really
it is.
consider how much the cap's going to
Yeah,
expand
you
next
want to
year.
know why I'm not considering it? Because it's not right now. Right now, the guy's being overpaid. Let's say
Right now, he's being paid with a mid-level exception. I
yeah,
don't
it's
consider that
$5
overpaid.
million, which is too much for him. Everybody in the league agrees.
That's because Scotty's a fiscal conservative.
At the end of the year, let's see where he's at when the salary cap is flexible.
Well, let's
but
say-
as of right now, we're overpaying.
Let's say at the end of the year, he hasn't made it off the bench.
It's
now
the
we've got
coach's
a
fault.
non-tradable
Back
asset.
to the coach's fault.
So you have this confidence in Derek Williams that he just wasn't handled correctly his first
you want to
3
know
years
what
in
I
the league.
see?
I think I've really rubbed off on him.
I see a kid that loves to run the floor and
And
he
misses
doesn't-
on defense every play.
Yeah, because he doesn't understand what's going on. And we've got 32 coaches sitting on the bench who are all going home and doing what? Who's spending time with these players after practice is over or before practice?
I don't think we have the
You
insight
know who
into
Red
that
Holzman
situation
had?
and make that
you
assumption.
know who Red Holzman had? He had Phil Jackson injured, writing stats on the bench. Last time the Knicks won a championship, there was one coach. What are these 20 coaches doing for these players? What are they doing?
I think the average
I'm angry!
assistant coach in the league, and
He should be angry. He should say that.
I think the average assistant coach in the league is making $100,000.
That's way more than I'm making.
Yep, and a lot less than these bench players. I see you.
I bet it's more than
yeah,
100,000.
man. I mean,
I bet it's 2 or 3.
you are an apologist for the players. If this guy doesn't fucking get it, and everybody else on the roster is getting it, and he can't make the floor because he can't be in the right place.
But everybody
Bleh.
else in the roster is not getting it right now.
Listen,
They
we've
don't
got-
do well when they're running their offense, when they're in half court yet. And that's why he's a necessary evil. We need a guy like him because when they're in their half court set, they're losing games. They're losing their
Listen, the
points.
1990s in me is an O'Quinn fan. He rebounds. He's inside. He plays D. But this is a transition league now. Butcher, you called me out for being a 90s Nick a couple podcasts ago. This kid runs the floor. He's not getting the help he needs after school.
Well,
He doesn't play D. He would never make the floor on the 1990s Knicks.
Yeah, well,
I think you opened up something
Period.
about O'Quinn there, though. Part of O'Quinn's problem is that he's trying to play this triangle and he's getting lost. He would be better in a more fluid motion type of offense.
Well,
At this point.
I think O'Quinn gets so down and dirty down low that you assume on offense you should be posting him up deep. He works much better out of the high post, bounce passing to cutters. That's why I like him at the 4 in a big squad and as a stretch 5 passing the ball.
So where is the old school Rip Hamilton type players? I'm sick and tired of seeing these guys jogging around the court. You know, a guy like O'Quinn would be much more successful if somebody would sprint and get open to a
But
spot.
guys moving without the ball, I think is.
You know me, man. You know I
I
love
think
me
that's
some
a
Rip
cutoff.
Hamilton.
I think that's a cutoff between the good teams and the bad teams. You know, I look at the Boston Celtics who have a mediocre roster this year and last year. You know, a bunch of mid-level guys, but they all move without the ball and they get their wins. And I think that's the difference between good coaching and bad coaching. What's happening when the ball's not in a
John,
guy's hand?
tell me what you said while Butcher was out gallivanting earlier about passing.
Oh man, I'm on
What
the
you
spot here.
what you said about the harder pass and the easier pass.
Looks
when
like
you
he's
make a
passing
pass.
again.
I might
What
be.
John was
What
saying
did I
was
say?
it's way
Please
harder.
tell me.
It's way harder to make a pass to a guy
Oh, yeah,
standing
yes,
still.
yes, right.
John made a great point earlier.
Passing to a standing still target is much harder to do than passing to a moving target.
I could have
because
said it myself and taken credit for what John said.
Thank
but
you.
I'm trying to say what John
You may have even said it better than me. But when you're playing defense, it's much easier to guard a guy who's standing still. You know where the pass is coming, you know where he's moving. If you're
You
cutting,
can play the
if there's-
passing lane.
If there's motion and you're moving around, the passer has a rhythm to count off of. In Phillips, there's literally is a beat count that you're supposed to be counting on.
No, I agree, and I think when you see passing,
it's rock and roll.
When you see passing to somebody who's standing still, unless they're getting set for a shot, what you're seeing are guys who aren't confident in the offense. They're not anticipating.
Exactly.
You're passing to someone who's standing still. That means you had to wait for him to get to that spot to pass it to them, and that's not good.
But listen, they're learning this stuff. This is a new team. This is a little baby. We got to nurture it and let it grow.
Still, we have an unbalanced roster that needs guards. We're not going to get the pick of the litter. It seems to me that you guys are more interested in hanging on to what is a young, deep, athletic roster for the first time.
Well, we can't call Jose young.
No. And no. I just don't want to give up the assets that we have for something that's not really what we want.
Exactly.
Hold your money in the bank until you find what you want to buy.
But if I can drop Jose Calderon's 2 years for any other player's 1 year, I do it.
1.5 years.
Still, all right, so if I could trade 1.5 years for a half a year, I'd do it.
Brandon Jennings is injured more often than not. We want guys that
He may not be able to play, by the way. He hasn't been on the floor yet.
We want guys that can play. I'm not going to spend my hard-earned money on some guy who's not going to come out and play.
Oprah has a name for guys like Brandon Jennings.
Stedman?
The JJ. He's a JJ.
He isn't. I'm going to defend Brandon Jennings a little bit.
You're going to defend him when he defends on the court.
He's a smarter player than, say, J.R. Smith. With the same,
that's not giving him much
with the same ability to score. He's shown that he's willing to come off the bench. I think he's instant offense.
You guys can't see it right now, but right now Scotty B over here is playing the world's smallest violin while he's telling us this story. Keep going, buddy. Let's hear it.
Let me ask you.
That's not Scotty
Let me ask
B.
you.
You are playing the violin for him.
Aaron Aflalo has shown his ability to get his own shot. It's helped us a lot. We need some instant offense on this team, and we need guards on this team. Where's it coming from? Are you guys telling me you're sold on Jimmer?
I'm telling you that I'm not sold on any of these guys, and I'm not spending yet. You've told me this. You got to buy. What you say: buy low, spend high, right?
Butcher, somebody asked me earlier, how do you afford your house? And I told him very simply, Butcher laid it down for me. You don't buy a house and you don't buy a car unless you steal it. That was a conversation I had earlier with somebody, and you're forgetting your own advice.
Well, I'm going to tell you both. You're bringing me back to the pack on this. The biggest
fundamentals, my friend.
Well, and the biggest difference,
patience.
The biggest difference for this Knicks team is we signed and drafted personality types. The Shumpert J.R. Smith trade was obviously a personality dump.
Yes. So there's no way Phil's picking up Brandon Jennings.
Because he's a personality dump for Detroit.
Yeah. So you wait, you hold on to your money. Like you said, that our boy over in the Grizzlies is available in a year on free agency. We do have assets to trade for them. They don't have a backup center over in the Grizzlies, by the way. They lost, I hope I say it right, Costa Kufis.
I think the Grizzlies are going to make a push to try to sign Conley in the offseason. I don't think they're going to trade him, assuming they can't sign him. They got the big guy Gasol. Yeah, but they got the big guy Gasol to re-sign. And if Conley's smart, he's hitching his wagons to the big Spaniard.
If they want him, if they don't want to make a change, he's on a down year. I don't think that in the way that they run basketball right now, he's going to be moving in a positive direction.
Conley can play point guard on my team anytime. He's a great defender. My biggest problem with being a proponent of the Jennings trade is I hate bringing in anybody who doesn't have the right attitude and isn't a defender. But I will go back to this. Is 2 years of Calderon problems?
One.
Is 1.5 years of Calderon problems? Okay. If you can get Jennings in here for half a season,
sure it is.
You would have rather have that suffer through a half a season of Jennings and get $8 million off the cap next year.
Let's talk about blow away our two big assets, our forwards and our power forwards that we have that are big assets.
How much do you think they're worth? They can't make the floor on the Knicks.
Let's talk about next year, even, man.
Let's talk about our big picture here. It's not Carmelo Anthony anymore. It's Porzingis.
Oh, I disagree completely.
Are we going to keep blowing cap right now to make sure Melo's set for a team he's not going to win
Well,
with?
you're obviously not listening to my point, because bringing Jennings in frees up $8 million next year. It does the opposite of what you're saying.
How long is Jennings' contract?
A half a season.
This season?
That's it.
Okay, well that does change.
Well, you could have listened to me earlier.
I
This
didn't
gets
hear
us
half
out of
a
underneath Calderon.
I didn't
and gives
hear
us,
half a season.
And gives, well, because you didn't want to hear it.
I don't see that there's a free agent point guard this summer that's jumping on our team.
Mike Conley, I don't know that he leaves the Grizzlies to come to us.
I
That's
still
the guy
don't
I
take
would
Jennings,
want.
by the way.
You don't
Still
take
don't.
Jennings. He leaves at the end of this year, gives us $8 million cap space. You want to keep Calderon on the
We
team.
have enough for a big time signing this summer, even without trading.
I agree. I'm just saying Calderon's effectiveness has been hard to justify putting him on the floor this year. I can only imagine it's going to get worse. Jennings, regardless of how the experiment goes, we only have him for 50 games.
I think Calderon's played better this year than I expected him to play.
He's
I think
certainly
all of
played
us.
better of late than we had expected.
Well, he's healthier than he was last year.
So
Best point guard on the team.
you're telling me, Scotty B-side, you hate Jennings.
I do.
Not a Jennings fan.
Well, what do you love, Scotty B? Give me some love.
What I love, and I said it before.
Yeah, but you can't say that on the air.
It's true. Sorry, baby. I got to change the subject.
What else do you love,
I
Scotty?
love Porzingis' 7 blocks. And I love who they came against. They came against Towns and Wiggins. Is Wiggins
I don't think that's a slur, no.
I was going to ask if he
It's
was
Sheriff
was
Wiggins.
if he was the Simpsons.
He is from
kid.
Springfield.
Gotcha. Yeah, but I love the 7 blocks. Thank you, Zing.
He's got some spring in his step, I'll tell you that much. Between Wiggins and Levine, it's hard to keep those guys down. I got to agree with you, Porzingis, the thing you love about this kid is when he doesn't get the juicy stats, when he doesn't get the scoring, when he doesn't hit the late shot, when he isn't getting his.
He's not mellowing.
He's still putting in the fucking work. 7 blocks.
7
There's a
blocks.
lot of guys
He
who
had 3 in the
justify
first
their
quarter.
existence with just 7 blocks. JC, what do you hate? Give me some hate.
Man, the thing that I hate right now is just gotta be the point guard situation. And I don't think
Well,
Brennan
we know
Jennings is
that.
the answer, but
I hear Raymond Felton's up for trade.
oh god.
Right.
No more of that, please. God, no.
We're a Frank Reynolds away, boys.
Maybe we could bring out Charlie Ward.
Marty Collins.
Oh, Charlie Ward, I love you.
Oh, no more Marty Collins. No, thank you. No, thank you. Or
Duhan got you all in check.
I would take Duhan a little bit more.
I think
somebody
Grant-
that could get to the basket. We don't have. I hate the
does
fact that we
hold the
can't
Knicks
get to the
single-season
basket.
assist record.
The thing I hate the
Duhan.
most is that we just cannot get to the hoop.
We're not getting any high percentage points, which I
No.
brought up at the beginning of the season.
We are a jump
You
shooting
need
team.
high percentage points to win basketball games.
We are a jump shooting team with mediocre jump shooters, and that's what I hate.
And what is the team that gets to the bucket? I don't see Golden State necessarily
you
getting
can't-
to the bucket.
Listen, let's
It's the
compare
second
everybody
option.
to Michael Jordan. You can't compare
Let's not.
everybody to
Fuck
fucking
Michael Jordan.
You can't compare everybody to Steph Curry. Curry, if we had gotten you,
a Golden
we missed
State,
Curry by
Andre
one pick.
Iguodala.
If we had gotten you,
How about
we
the
would have
Atlanta-
ruined you
How about the
because we
Atlanta
didn't know
team?
how to have nice things.
How about the Atlanta team that won almost 60 games last year with no Steph Curry, but working outside in instead of inside
those
out?
play-
Who was their,
go for
who was
them?
their point guard on
How'd their
Atlanta?
playoffs go for them?
Who was the point guard on Atlanta?
The playoffs did not go well for them.
Exactly.
They have 2 point guards.
Who was their starting point guard on Atlanta? He gets to the hoop all the time.
Both of those quick little guards.
And the same thing over at Golden State. They get to the hoop. Andre Iguodala gets to the basket whenever he wants.
He's backing up.
Listen, comparing your team to the Warriors is well. If I had Michael Jordan, let's be real. Let's be real.
You don't. We don't want him. He's old.
You know what I'm saying?
He is old.
Not everybody's going to shoot the lights out like Golden State.
It sounds like what we're getting to here is that this team should stand pat with the roster.
For
and
now.
Waiting for somebody to have a fire sale on a real guard. You're going to have to give a little to get a little. JCMB side. We are going to wrap it up with the Knicks Talk Trio. Beer and a shot with the Butcher. Catch me on the Butcher Baker YouTube channel, and soon hear us on iTunes as well as SoundCloud, and we out.